That's the thing causing this and this and this. The key word here is problem. You have to talk to their or speak to their struggle, talk to their challenges, talk to their pain. Now, here's the thing. Before we go into the nitty-gritty for day one, I really want you to understand 3 or 4 absolute fundamentals that go hand in hand with making an effective day one. Now, I go a little bit deeper on this subject before we go into nitty-gritty because this is where most chiropractors go wrong with their day one. I really want you to understand 3 key points. Point number 1. For you to effectively sell chiropractic, which is effectively selling a service. A service is an invisible thing. There's a great book called Selling the Invisible by Harry Beckwith. It should be required reading for you. That requires a psychological understanding of what it takes to get a customer to hand over hard-earned cash for you for something that they can't see, touch, or feel. They have no idea what the end product's going to look like. And if they don't get it, you cannot blame them for that. That is up to us as chiropractors. That's our fault for not conceptualizing it for them to get. Point number 1 in that is for you to understand that the type of sale we're involved in as chiropractors. We are involved in a diagnostic and prescriptive sale. I know I just triggered some people on this call, on this video, but let me give you more context. I don't care if you're the most vitalistic chiropractor on the planet, and some of my friends are the most vitalistic chiropractors on the planet. They still are involved in a diagnostic and prescriptive sale process. They look at an x-ray and they go, there's your problem. It's called a subluxation. And in some way, shape or form, would you like me to fix you with it? They look at a surface EMG and they go, there's your problem. That's the thing causing this and this and this. The key word here is problem. You have to talk to their or speak to their struggle, talk to their challenges, talk to their pain. It might be their pain in so much as how it's affecting their life, or it might be physical pain. But make no mistake, if there is not a struggle, if there is not a pain, and a significant pain or challenge or problem, you will have a very difficult time selling this thing we call chiropractic. Believe me on this. It's a diagnostic and prescriptive sale. Now, copywriting formulas are great formulas to study to be an effective salesperson. Why? Because a copywriter has to, if you think about it, we get to rely on, natural charm sometimes, and some of the stuff we do prior to them coming in. They walk into a nice busy practice with awesome CAs, they greet them, and it's a nice place, etc. And they've got all these people walking to the door sometimes, and it's social proof there. We've got all these little factors that help us close the sale. But if someone's writing a sales letter or a newsletter or a newspaper article, they don't have anything to rely on. They really have to understand a few things. And there's a sales formula, sales writing or copywriting formula that's helpful for you to hear, to fully understand this. It is to sell via copywriting. There's a formula called problem, agitate, solve. So you first have to find their problem, you have to agitate it, and then you have to give them a solution to it. Said differently, there's another sales copywriting formula. Again, this is going to be uncomfortable for you to hear because we got into chiropractic to help people, but we have to understand that if we don't take them to speak to their struggle and we go straight to being positive and goals and all these amazing things that we're going to help them with too soon, we will lose them. Please believe me on this, or trust me on this. There's been more written about sales than almost any other business book on the planet. And if you're well read on the subject, you'll be constantly reminded every single examination. You have to check yourself and you have to go, now is not the time for me to be the positive guy and to pre-frame how awesome everything is. No, you have to speak to their struggle first. There's another sales copywriting formula that is hurt them to help them. Now that is really hard to hear for most people, but if you look at those sales formulas, here's what I mean. If you don't speak to their struggle, you're in big trouble. If you don't have a problem to solve, they will not hand over their hard-earned cash for you to solve nothing. There has to be something to solve. There's an excellent book called Selling the Invisible by Harry Beckwith that specifically talks about this. We have to understand the psychology behind why someone takes action. And people take action for 2 ways: towards pleasure, away from pain. Away from pain is by far the most motivating thing on the planet, and almost nothing very few things sell towards pleasure. For example, if you look at weight loss, or if you look at even the drug industry that do it, and look at a lot of their processes, it's away from pain. It's sick, dying person, this is what they do to get better. But we have to understand the psychology is that people are motivated to walk away from pain, not towards pleasure. So said differently, here's an example. If there are 4 types of traumas that every single person has on the planet, that I believe, first of all, it's actually 5 if you consider emotional trauma. We've all had hardships, we've all had hard times. We've also all had some type of, most people have had a broken bone or something of sort. Most people have had some type of car accident of some sort. Most people have had every person's had multiple serious falls, and almost every person is involved in some type of repetitive strain injury or work injury, sitting at a desk all day or whatever that causes some type of challenge. If you're not getting at least one of those 4 traumas or multiple traumas within each subsection, you're really missing out on this concept that there has to be a problem for you to solve to give them a solution, a significant problem. Now, let me give you an example of this. In your case history, if you ask them, have you had a car accident before, and they say not really a big one, here's a golden opportunity for you to do when I say problem agitate, the problem is the car accident. Now agitate, I want you to write down just the truth. That's all we want. So when they say problem, car accident, not a big deal. Our job is then to go agitate. I want to find out more about that. So what I mean by that, the truth is the most persuasive thing on the planet. So were you going more than 7 miles an hour? Yes, absolutely. How fast were you going? Probably close to 20 miles an hour. Wow. Or 15 miles an hour. Wow. Why do you say wow? Well, actually, research shows us that whiplash injuries can occur in as little as, depending on the research you look, 7 miles an hour. Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. So were you going more than 7 miles an hour? We're definitely going to take some pictures of that. Now, another important thing is developing. So first of all, they came in, it was just a minor car accident. It was a little fender bender, no big deal. But now we've just planted a seed of doubt that there may be something there. And is it the truth? It's absolutely the truth. This is research. So why would you not tell them that? So problem, agitate is, did you know that a whiplash happens a little bit? And then we're going to give them a solution when we look at the x-rays. And they've lost their cervical curve. There may be avulsion fractures, there may be all sorts of things. We don't know, but they certainly have a good chance of having lost cervical curve. That's what we mean by problem agitate. It's not just, you had a car accident, no big deal. No, it's a big deal. It's a big deal how it can affect the spinal cord and straightening of the cervical curve, etc. So that's point number 1, is there has to be a problem to solve. Point number 2 is I really need you to understand that links quite nicely to what I've just said. Point number 2 in the subsection is we have to have a problem to solve. It's a diagnostic or prescriptive sale. Point number 2 is this, that the sale requires tension or anticipation. Let me say that again. That's actually the importance of tension. Let's talk to tension first. Tension throughout the sales process, in this case, in a diagnostic or prescriptive sales, maybe there is a scale, an imaginary scale happening in the prospect's mind that right now, if there is lots of problems or challenges that they may find, the need for the service goes up. Okay, now here's a good example. When you go to a dentist, right? The scene is perfect. You're lying on your back. The lights are shining. You're so vulnerable. Your mouth is open. You can't say anything even if you wanted to, and the dentist starts to dictate what's happening in your mouth to an assistant. Now, this is all very well structured for the sale. They may now you're lying there. You're very vulnerable. You're pretty nervous already, and they start going, canines, and they may say scary words like impacted, or they may say things like we have lots of abrasions. They may say things like that, and it's the truth. And you go, geez, I didn't know that was happening. And all this, and then they may go upper molar on the right, multiple impactions, or whatever it is. I'm not a dentist, so I'm going to suck at this. But you've been there, and you're like, wow, I didn't know this is happening. In your head, you're going there. But what's building is tension. You absolutely need tension for the sale. Many chiropractors, specifically back in the day, created a lot of theater when they'd lie patient prone. They'd say, I'm going to record it if this is okay for my notes. That big theater with the tape deck, and they close the tape deck, and then it's like, even the time of iPads and in iPhones, they would still do this, and they would go, okay, so as they are motioning the spine, they would dictate what was happening, and the patient listening would be like, wow, I didn't know it was happening. here's the key phrase. It has to be the truth. That's the truth is the most persuasive thing in the world. We have subluxations throughout this area. We have, SI on the right is this, etc. As we're going through, we are motioning and we can dictate what's happening. But there must be an element of tension. There must be an element to that patient and it's this, anticipating, if it's the x-rays, the postural scans, the results. This goes on to day 2. So let's talk about tension anticipation in kind of a point number 3. Is you cannot break the tension on day 1 by, for example, adjusting on the first visit, because you've just said you may have whiplash injuries because you're going 15 miles an hour, not whatever, and now you're going to go, I'm going to adjust you anyway before we've seen the x-rays. You have just killed all the tension. You've just killed all the anticipation. The patient should absolutely be walking into day 2 thinking, hey, I'm really anxious or excited or nervous or whatever it is to see the results. That is part of a selling process, and there has to be tension. So if you're listening to this and you trust me, and I've worked with more chiropractors than just about anyone on the planet on this stuff, believe me, and been to more trainings and sales trainings from the best people on the planet like Robert Kiyosaki, etc. Toured with Robert Kiyosaki for 3 weeks, and I can tell you right now, if you do not talk to their struggle or speak to their struggle, if you do not talk about pain, if you do not have a problem to solve for them, you will not make the sale. So psychologically now, hopefully I've set you in the right frame of mind to have a good day 1. That was first training on day 1 is your mindset. There has to be a problem to solve, there has to be tension, and there has to be anticipation. Don't mess it up.